I'm a civil servant, and it is 24th of the month and the fasting period. Up to now, I have not received my salary. Do you know what it entails? That is, by the way, I must recommend and commend NTA for airing one program at April Friday called Abrahamic Mission. If that program is to be replicated in all the media houses in the country, because what we need is education. We need an education to able citizens of this country to know that if God wanted to create us all Muslims, He will have done it. If He wanted to create us all Christians, He would have done it. But in His wisdom, He created us Muslim and Christian so that we will live together and live in harmony. May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umar Anache. And back in the studio, Bishop Akwami, a little push, like the Imam said, is all we need in this country.
Yes, a little push, a little determination, and more of intentionality. I remember this very popular story in the Bible of the Good Samaritan. The Bible tells us of this traveler that fell among thieves and was beaten up and stripped naked and left half dead. A religious leader came, saw him, and walked away. That was a priest. Another religious leader came, saw him, and walked away. But a Samaritan who had a different culture from the Jewish traveler that had fallen victim of the robbers stopped by and came down from his donkey, placed the injured man on his own donkey, took him to an inn, took care of him there, paid the bill, and Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." I think Christmas, every one of us should imbibe the spirit of the Good Samaritan. The nature of God is to be good. And we as His creation should imbibe that nature. Intentionality. Be intentional in being good. You don't have to wait or look to someone else before you do it intentionally. Put a smile on somebody's face. Change someone's destiny. Bring a lift to somebody. Do things intentionally, but please be good to your brother. That way, be good to your sister. Be good to your neighbor.
Be intentional. That's your message there. And the parables of Jesus Christ is like the hadiths in the Muslim faith. For how people should live, their lives and empathize to us for fellow human beings. Let's bring in Bishop Imam Esong. We're running out of time. Actually, we have just like 10 minutes to go. Let's get your final thoughts in like 2 minutes. Tell us about the action plan that should be taken so that we can change the narrative about how Nigeria should move forward.
Yes, I repeat that we need to have a rethink in our behavioral pattern. Of course, one of the speakers have confirmed you cannot change your behavior on your own except something happen on the inside of you, which is what I said before. We have to experience the love of Christmas, the love of Jesus Christ. But more to that, Nigeria, for example, we need to break down the middle walls of partition. You know, in as much of Nigerians are beyond religious and cultural dichotomies, we still have some knacks in our constitution. And some things like state of origin should be removed from the constitution. Even something like when we are feeling from religion, we should remove it from every civil service. Don't ask me my state of origin. Don't ask me my religion. Let's try that. Let's begin from that and see if this country will not change. Because the biases and prejudices that we find in the governmental places and political places are, their bottom line is on the discrimination on somebody's religion and tribe and language. So the federal government should work hard on the constitutional review, judiciary reforms, and something like state of origin should be removed. I have been in Cross River State for 40 years, and you call me a non-indigent? That's not acceptable, because my life, my contribution to the GDP and IGR of this state has been top-notch, and you still call me non-indigent. And that happens to the person in the north and the south, and this is the basic problem we have. So when you go to fill a form and conduct an interview, you ask me what religion am I, and you ask me what is my state of origin. Your biases and prejudices begins from there on me. So talking about unity and development of the country, we have to have that behavioral change, of course, that will create patriotism in the average Nigerian, so that the project will be project one Nigeria and not all the nomenclatures and the trajectory that is on the background of our relations.
Okay, Archbishop Imam Esong, you've raised another issue here. You know, indigenization policy has always been on the front burner, and I believe that it should be looked into, because that indigenization policy is what is causing a lot of problems in this country. Being born and brought up in a state and then you're not an indigene, that is an issue that needs to be addressed by government. Let's bring in Reverend Israel Akanji into the... We're talking about action plans and how this country can develop, can move forward, so that we can at least be at par with other nations of the world. Let's have your opinion on that.
There is already a program that is going on in Nigeria, the Nigerian Interreligious Council, NIREC. The Nigerian Interreligious Council was formed a little over 2 decades ago, and it has been a meeting point of Christian leaders and Muslim leaders in Nigeria. There are co-chairmen, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence, and the chairman, the president, His Eminence. The two of them co-chair Nigerian Interreligious Council. Whenever they come together, they're able to discuss issues and ways to even advise government. And it has been working very well at the national level. Now, a lot of times they're able to see government and explain some of their thoughts, which have helped to shape a lot of things in the country, even right now. But that Nigerian Interreligious Council is functioning at the national level. It needs to function at the state level and also at the local government level, where Christian and Muslim leaders will come together and take their template from what is happening at the national level. With this coming together, definitely you can see that unity is already being encouraged and strengthened. So it's a Nigerian Interreligious Council. It is a national apex leader program, but it needs to be cascaded to the states and then to the local governments. And if we're able to do this, there will be better understanding, and the people there will be able to collaborate with the local government and then with the state government, and of course, the national body will keep collaborating with the federal government. With this, the government will be bringing the people closer, and some form of inclusiveness and information sharing will be going on to help us navigate through our processes of development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Reverend. Back in the studio, Pastor Oluche, how should we celebrate Christmas? We are in Christmas already. It's already Christmas.
I think the celebration of Christmas has been expressed that it's a time now to show that you care for your neighbor, because that's the essence of why he came. He knew we were helpless. He knew we were in sin. He knew we could not help ourselves.
Love thy neighbor as yourself.
Like, love your neighbor as yourself. So that's the best way to celebrate Christmas. So like in our church, let me not mention that we are distributing some things, but we want to
have stampedes.
But we have to show
neighbor.
neighbor.
We find ourselves. Yes, what happened was very, very
just
sad.
think about your neighbor. Think about your neighbor. That's Christmas. Yeah.
Your neighbor first.
Yeah.
Because even in Islam, I believe, even if you're going to sell your property, you look at your neighbor from your life. Yes, and then...
On the sign is even about 40 neighbors.
Yes.
You count 40 neighbors.
So your final thoughts?
My final thought is that I always reflect over the word of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, you are not yet a believer. You are not yet a believer until when your neighbor is saved from the evil of your hand and the evil of your tongue. In another narrative, says, you are not yet a believer until the honor, the dignity, the property, the lives and property of your neighbor is safe in your hand. Which there means says, I want further to say that on that day of judgment, I will stand as an attorney for a non-believer who is my neighbor, whose any Muslim force him or harm him, force him to do what he doesn't want to do, or harm him. I will stand as his attorney before God. Muhammad to stand, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as an attorney, as a lawyer against any Muslims on the day of judgment, that is the key factor. And that's why I'm feeling to tell all Muslims, whoever you are, whoever is a non-Muslim, whoever he is, whatever his faith, when he's your neighbor, it is your duty to protect his honor. It is your duty to protect his integrity. It is your duty to help him in that difficult moment. The nation is going through a very difficult moment. I want what is happening in Abuja community, the Mosque Food Bank, what is happening on the media, Abrahamic Mission. I want it to happen in every mosque in Nigeria. To say there's a day in a week that the mosque is providing food or feeding opportunity or opportunity to engage for people in difficult moments. That is what this festive moment means for me.
Bishop.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been privileged to be to the birthplace of Jesus in Bethlehem. And before you enter the birthplace of Jesus, there's a door there. And the door is not that high. And you have to stoop to be able to access the birthplace of Jesus. It's called the door of humility. Jesus...
We're back.